It's a terrible football show, all right?
I want whatever you guys are smoking right now.
Come on, Shane. OH. OH.
Io, baby,
go.
yeah. Shane, I swear to God.
Welcome to a terrible football show.
That's my quarterback and my teammate, man.
Ruins my fucking holiday every damn year.
Alex,
What up?
you can thoroughly kiss my ass.
Why not let us decide the top four?
Yeah, let a terrible football show
Let a terrible football
decide the top four.
Fuck you, Shane.
Roll Tide. Have a good one, guys.
Oh,
Enjoy the show.
Yeah, he's got to go. Get him out of here. Get him out of here.
I like that Baker Mayfield and myself, man. He was baking it up there in the Browns, and it just turned into a big old shit pile. So
Get that right. I will fly you out and take you to a game in Dallas of your fucking choice.
Oh, shit. Yeah, he's successful at just giving his terrible opinions, so why can't I? It's a terrible football show after all. Welcome to Terrible Football Show, episode Cameron Wake. Shout out to him. He was a beast from the CFL that came down to the Dolphins and tore it up for a few years. Man, oh man, here on January 10th, 2024, I've got my guy Ricky with me, and holy crap, do we have a lot to talk about. Ricky, how you doing?
yeah, I don't think my wife would want me to skip choir practice tonight because we have so much football to. No, she told me no. but we could. I'm just saying, as much as we have to discuss today, to take the appropriate time. You know, skip a choir practice would have to happen, but the wife says no.
Hey, we're gonna speed run this as much as we can. Shout out to Ricky's wife. Don't murder him on stream. I don't need the evidence coming back to me. Oh no, we'll speed run a lot of topics. I mean, it's fun. I mean, we'll hit everything that we've got to hit to the best of our ability. Hit our picks. If we got to skip our picks, we'll skip our picks. No big deal. There's so much to talk about. Coach firings, coach resigning, coach retirements as of 20 minutes before we go live. Playoffs. Shout out to Michigan. God, I don't know, man. Check out the referral link down below for some Rogue Energy. Check out some Rogue. We'd appreciate that support, as well as go pick up a jersey because it's got a trash can, and that's really cool. And join the Discord as well. And you can also come in and chat with us today. Maybe not today. We're on limited time, and we have a lot to talk about. But on a normal day, you can come in and chat with us, and it'll be great. So, honestly, man, I got to be real with you. We've got so much to talk about in the realm of the NFL with the playoffs, the coaching firings, everything kind of going on in the landscape, 2 huge retirements. So this is going to feel kind of like shitty to an extent, but let's just go ahead and establish I feel like probably one of the quicker topics and get it out of the way. Congratulations to Michigan. Top of the mountain, baby. Washington, they really struggled the other night in the national championship. That was very clear. Was really hoping for a very tight game, and honestly, even when it was 20-13, it never felt close, in my opinion, watching the game. But shout out to Michigan. Shout out to Jim Harbaugh. Top of the mountain. I mean, Michigan's all the way back. You know what I mean? So shout out to that one. That's a huge deal. But man, just in the realm of coaches, I mean, we had 2 of the greats retire on the same day. Nick Saban, head coach of Alabama, retired about like 30 minutes before we started the show. And then I don't know if this one was a voluntary retirement. I mean, it could have been a lot, could have changed in the span of a 24 or 48 hour span. But also it seems like Pete Carroll is going into retirement. But I feel like that one might be more of a forced retirement because I swear to God, the man said like over the weekend that he was planning to come back. He felt energized. He felt good. He wanted to keep doing it. So I feel like this one may have been more of a forced retirement because he's not fired because he's still going to be part of the organization as an advisor. But man, just talk about 2 huge blows to the football community. And the wild thing is we potentially, I don't think so, but potentially could even get a 3rd huge blow with another legend of Bill Belichick. We don't know what's going on with that one yet either. I mean, just Ricky, what was your first thought when you saw the Nick Saban news 30 minutes ago?
So first of all, yeah, definitely good shout out to Michigan for that national. No one, I do not remember a team in the history of football, basketball, whatever you consider it. I don't remember a team that has gone through so much adversity in one season, be able to maintain their undefeated season, not have their coach for over half the season, and win a national championship. That's props.
Yeah.
I mean, you cannot argue that is probably one of the greatest championship runs in the history of college football, just based on what they've had to go through. As far as Nick Saban goes, class act. Waiting till the national championship game was over. At least a couple of days after the national championship game was over, to announce his retirement. If you want to throw him in there as the greatest of all time, throw him in there as the greatest of all time. He does have more national championships than any coach. I know wins. He didn't quite get to that 300th win, but I think he would have exceeded that had he stayed in college versus going to the NFL. But
Yeah,
at
he
the
would.
same time, you also have to understand, at that time, that was what was his best fit, and you've got to challenge yourself in your in a career in some way.
Yep.
And that was his challenge. Let's go to the NFL. He didn't have a terrible record, 15-17 in the NFL. That's not a terrible record. I mean, it just wasn't his fit. And to be able to come to Alabama, to maintain this consistency in Alabama as the top dog, not just in the SEC, but in the entire country for as long as he did it, you just got to give him all kinds of props. To be honest with you, I hate that he's retiring, but I'm happy for him because there's nothing else, Alex, he can do. This year was probably the best coaching job, regardless of, and yes, did he have a chance to beat Michigan? Yes, he had the best chance to beat Michigan over all four teams that were in the top four. And to be able to come in, not win a championship, but still have one of the best coaching, like this was his best coaching job this season than any before. He had lesser talent, and he was still able to make the top four. That was what was terrific about this upcoming season. I, including many others, I thought he was going to have a 3 or 4 loss season, and he totally proved me wrong. And shout out to him. Much better luck in the retirement. And I don't know what's next for Alabama football, but I am pretty sure they're going to go after Dabo Swinney. I think Dabo Swinney's done in Clemson. This is it. Time to go get Dabo Swinney. Dabo Swinney will be the next head football coach at Alabama.
See, that's what I'm feeling. I'm feeling Dabo. I know right now in terms of betting lines and a lot of reports is that Alabama's going to go after Dan Lanning of Oregon, which, I mean, I can get a little bit on the younger side. I can understand that. And I feel like he's going to be in play. I feel like there's going to be a lot of big names in play. You know what I mean? Dan Lanning and Dabo is going to be the top of the list, in my opinion, of people in play. I've seen Mike Norvell talked about. I've seen Marcus Freeman talked about. Let's see. What were some other names? I saw that the one non-head coach that I saw in play was Jim Harbaugh's right-hand man, who's basically setting him up for a nice coaching job after what he did.
I don't think they'll go that route, though.
I don't think so either. I not a school like Alabama. Another name that I saw that I don't see happening. I don't see happening. He hasn't been at the top of the mountain. You know what I mean? And that's James Franklin. I've seen that name people talked about. I don't see that one.
No.
The people are even saying Kalen DeBoer. Washington's head coach. I can get the hype, but I don't see it.
No.
I personally, man, I'm on the boat of Dabo Swinney should be probably the number one candidate. I think Dan Lanning will be talked about as well. Mike Norvell, I could even see him being talked about. And I'm also saying that based on some payouts.
Look how quick he turned. And of course, Mike Norvell would make a little bit of sense because look how quick he turned Florida State around.
Yeah.
And and regardless of what happened this year and Travis Hunter and everything like that, regardless of what happened, he's still one heck of a football coach.
Yep.
Nobody can deny that.
Yep. I think if you're a Bama fan, if you're one of the boosters for Bama, I think you want Dabo. You know what I mean? Like you want someone who's been on the top of the mountain
for the last 5-6 years.
I mean, he's graduated from Alabama. He spent the first half of his coaching career at Alabama before he went to Clemson as wide receiver coach. I mean, like he's from Birmingham, so he's close to Tuscaloosa and stuff. I mean, like Dabo feels like the perfect fit. You know what I mean? But he's got, from what I'm seeing here, a $7.5 million buyout. That's not terrible, especially when you look at Dan Lanning, who's got a $20 million, and Dan Lanning is apparently the top candidate on the Vegas betting lines. I mean, I mean, Dabo Sweeney with a 7.5 mil, Mike Norvell with a 4 mil, Kalen DeBoer with a 12, Dan Lanning with a 20. I mean, sign me up for that 7.5 if you get Dabo Sweeney. But I mean, hey, heck of a run for Nick Saban, man. Heck of a run. And it's one of those cases like, oh, buddy, you don't want to be the guy to try to fill his shoes. It's one of those.
Nope.
It was like when Tom Brady left the Patriots, and it's like you don't want to be the guy to try to replace Tom Brady. You don't want to be the guy to try to replace Peyton Manning. You know what I mean? Like that. Coming into this year, you borderline didn't want to be the guy to try to replace Aaron Rodgers, but Jordan Love did it. You know what I mean? And it's just one of those things in football, in sports, where you have a certain position, whether you're a coach or an actual player, where it's like when that legendary coach or player leaves, oh, buddy, I don't envy the person coming after him.
Yeah. So I will say this much. Now, of course, Jacob talked about this earlier in the season. Shout out to him for predicting this. Because everything he said made sense. He was looking more tired on the sideline.
He was.
He didn't have the same energy. The one thing though, Alex, that I really thought he was going to come back one more year when Milroe announced he was coming back.
Yeah.
Because I thought that was going to be like, Nick Saban's going to be like, you know what? Let me roll the dice one more time.
Mhm.
I've got all these athletes coming back. I was the closest one to beat Michigan besides Ohio State. Let me roll the dice one more time and let me see if I can get one more national championship under my belt. But he's satisfied with what he did, and he should be. There's nothing to be ashamed of. He did everything plus more on what you could do for college football. And more importantly, Alex, he didn't just set the standard; he was the standard.
Yeah, true.
Everybody in the entire country could pay every job that's out there, every coach that's out there. It's compared to Nick Saban. Well, how good are you compared to Nick Saban? What are you talking about? How good are you compared to Nick Saban? And a lot of because now he is the standard, and that's why we see a lot of these coaches that come and go. A lot of them are because of what Nick Saban has done in Alabama. He has set a bar, and they think, you know what? If Nick Saban could do it, why can't a school like Michigan, which Michigan just would? Why can't a school like Ohio State be consistent? Why can't a school like Florida State? But you get my drift. And then you see what Kirby Smart's done at Georgia. Kirby Smart is probably the next standard that we're going to be talking about.
True.
For the simple fact is on how consistent he's been, and he was the first assistant to be. I'm sorry, I think was he the first assistant or did Jimbo Fisher beat Saban before? I can't remember which one it was. But either way, it's like he set a standard. He was the standard, and now everybody will be compared to him, at least for the next few years until that next standard of coaching comes up, which I think could be Kirby Smart.
I think it could be Kirby Smart too. But I mean, like, even if he becomes the next standard, people are still going to talk about Saban for decades about being the standard of what you want to go through to be like just a dynasty in college football. So I mean, hey, shout out to Nick, man. Hopefully he has a wonderful retirement. Looking forward to seeing what he does next. And I'm also looking forward to seeing what Pete Carroll's going to be doing as an advisor for the Seahawks, and looking forward to seeing what the Seahawks are going to do as the next head coach. Man, it could be Dan Quinn, so watch out. You could be finally losing him, but you've been prepared for a while. I feel like a lot of Cowboys fans have, the possibility, because I feel like he set himself up for a new head coaching job for a few years. Let's be real. So I mean, Dan Quinn could be the next candidate up there in Seattle, which if that's the case, kudos to him. But in midst of all that, another shocker that we had, got it on the thumbnail and the title, Mike Vrabel got fired. It wasn't even a mutual. See, I personally have been in the boat for a few weeks that Mike was going to leave Tennessee, but I thought it was going to be a mutual parting. The fact that it is a straight termination, that's what really shocked me, and apparently shocked the entire building of the Tennessee Titans. Are you kind of in that same boat as like that part shocked you? Like, because I feel like you're the kind of guy who can probably agree with me on that. You probably expected a mutual parting, but did you expect a firing?
In some ways, I did, Alex, just for the simple fact is on how much Tennessee's declined over the last couple of years.
Yeah, it's been rough.
I mean, just what was it? What was it? 2-3 years ago, there were discussions of Tennessee possibly being one of those teams that could shock the entire NFL playoffs and win a Super Bowl, and they've slowly declined since then. This year he had a healthy Derrick Henry for most of the year. I think Derrick Henry played all but one game this year. He may have played all of them.
He led the AFC in yards, I believe.
And so he had over 1,100 yards. We've seen a slight decline from him, but not necessarily a decline, but more of a he didn't get near the carries this year that he did last year. I'll put it to you that way. I know for a fact he didn't get near the carries, but he's been a very, very effective player. You do not want to waste years on Derrick Henry. You don't want to waste him because now he's getting to that point where he's going to really start. We're going to start seeing a very steady and possibly sharp decline. So you got to get. You got to be consistent, especially with him. Now, Ryan Tannehill, we know what Ryan Tannehill brings to the table. He's not a good quarterback, but he's not a terrible quarterback.
He's just kind of a
And you
mid-tier
can-
game manager.
Exactly.
Yep.
And you've got so much around that organization that's wrong right now. And to be honest with you, Alex, it wouldn't surprise me if it was a mutual, but they reported it as a termination. It wouldn't surprise me one bit.
Yeah.
The fact is, you're in the NFL. And it's part of it. You have to show that consistency. And you and I both know, last year this division was the weakest in football.
Yep.
This year, or if not one of the weakest in football. This year, Houston surprised us. In some ways, Indianapolis surprised me, and they surprised me quite a bit. Not because I knew they had the talent top to bottom,
Yep.
but because it's so hard to have such a terrible season like they had last year and be able to come back and have the season they had this year. And not only that, they're one of two teams making the playoffs in that division. I hate that, Jacksonville's not in the playoff. I'm sorry. Houston's the only one making the playoffs in the division. I'm sorry. There was with Indy losing, they were out. And I hate
Yep.
that Jacksonville's not going to be in it because there's so much talent in Jacksonville right now. But when you take those considerations and the fact that you have Derrick Henry basically still in his prime, you cannot waste any years, and they just wasted the last two. So
Yep.
in some ways, in a lot of ways, I'm not shocked because of the fact is he has the talent, but there's a lot more in that organization besides the head coach that needs to be taken care of.
Oh yeah, especially you got to figure out the quarterback position because like Will showed flashes for sure, but is Will your guy? You know what I mean? Tannehill's got a massive contract
Right.
that's holding you down right now. Derrick Henry's definitely seems to be out of the building. I mean, he's a free agent that's coming off season. And the way he really bid farewell. You know what I mean? Like which also
Yeah.
shout out to King Henry. I saw a report that he personally went and thanked every single person that worked at the Tennessee Titans facility. Class act on that one. Shout out to that. But he seems to be gone. I mean, the AJ Brown thing sent that team down a spiral. Which we can go back
Yeah,
to
it
that
did.
trade and we can watch the video. You can tell that was that GM that got fired. That was 100% him. You could tell in the
Yep.
video when it happened. Mike Vrabel got out and walked out for a brief second, walked back in. You could tell he was pissed and did not want that to happen. And of course, that resulted in the drafting of one of your boys. But unfortunately, he hasn't really done super well. He's been injured a lot, had a lot of struggles. But
Traylon Burks, yeah.
yeah, that trade really hurt that team. And it's now
Saw his.
it's been bad. So, but now with Mike Vrabel being on the market, you can't deny he's he's the hottest name right now in the NFL coaching market. And I can't help but to think now that he's available, I feel like we are going to see that parting with Bill Belichick and the Patriots and the Crafts go after Mike Vrabel. That's what I personally think is going to happen. I think it's going to be Mike Vrabel will be the head coach of the New England Patriots in 2024. That's my personal pick. And Bill Belichick, maybe Los Angeles is still my plan. Los Angeles Chargers. Bill Belichick head coach. That's my thoughts, at least.
So you think Bill Belichick's going to – who'd you say is going to go to New England?
Mike Vrabel.
You think Mike Vrabel's going to go to New England?
Yep. I got Mike Vrabel going to New England, man. I'm feeling it. I'm feeling it, buddy.
And here's something else, Alex, to really think of, especially if you're an owner
Yep.
and Derrick Henry's out the door. It's one of those deals, do I really want a coach like Mike Vrabel to stick around and actually rebuild when he should be in a part of his career where he should, have a better surrounding? Because let's just face it, the Tennessee Titans are not a high market value team. They're more of one of those mid to lower market values as far as teams go. But yeah, I think the first thing they need to do, Alex, is to get out of that Ryan. They need to find a way to get out of the Ryan Tannehill contract.
Oh my God, that
They've got to
contract's
figure out a
killing
way
them.
to get out of it. He's a good quarterback. He's not a great quarterback, and I don't know what their answer is as far as quarterback goes or anything like that. But I just know he's not the guy. He's not the guy. He hasn't proven it, at least this far.
Let's see. And Tennessee is setting at the 7th overall pick. So if they want to swing or try to build around Will, I mean, they can do either or. I mean, you're not going to get one of the top 2 guys, but you can potentially get a Jaden Daniels at 7 because there is talk that Jaden's going to go as high as like number 6 to the Giants. Jaden's getting a lot of chatter right now about top 10, which I don't agree with. But
yeah, but I also want to point out something, and they need to go dig deep into history.
Yep.
There was a guy named Vince Young who was about as athletic as what Jaden Daniels is
True.
right now. They've already been down that route.
Yeah,
Go with
they
Will
have.
Levis. If you're not going to go with Will Levis, trade him, draft a quarterback in the draft.
Yep.
Because I mean, and that's going to be their choices right there. You either go with Will Levis, trade Ryan Tannehill in the draft. You can get some good picks for Ryan Tannehill somewhere down the line. Maybe a 3rd or 4th round pick. If not a little bit of cash, you may be able to get some players for him. I don't know, but that whole organization, it's just a dumpster fire right now.
It
But
is.
the good thing about that organization is it's not as bad as a dumpster fire as some of the other ones around the league.
Hey, shout out to Chicago.
I wasn't gonna say Chicago. Everybody knows Chicago's a dumpster fire, but they set the standard for dumpster fires.
Nah, lately we have. I mean, so out of the Chicago camp, of course, Matt Eberflus is being retained for another year. And we have fired our entire offensive coaching staff, which that was the bare minimum that had to happen, in my opinion. Like, I was open to keeping Flus, with certain variables, and that was one of them. But honestly, my opinion on keeping Flus, you got to run it back with Fields. That's my opinion. I understand we have the number 1 pick, but man, we can't keep repeating the same damn cycle that we've done twice before. You know what I mean? We just can't. But now there's also reports that Fields is going to be on the roster, plus still draft a quarterback, have a quarterback competition, which, like, is that really even a competition? Like, Fields is going to, like, potentially win, sure, but you have the number 1 overall draft pick. He's going to be the starter. I mean, you're losing trade capital on Fields that you could get. I don't know, man. Like, the Ryan Poles and Matt Eberflus had their end of year presser today, addressing everything. And when they talked about Fields, Ryan Poles said he thinks Fields could be a guy that can lead this team. I mean, he did improve, and from the way that he worded some stuff, he definitely shifted a lot of blame onto Getsy, which is fair. Getsy is so just massively dick hard for screens. All he wants to do is call 1 million screens a game. Instead of letting them sling it downfield, which, that is very, very true. You could see that all season long. That Getsy was a terrible play caller. So, I'm still in the boat. If we're keeping Flus, keep Fields. I understand Caleb, he's got all the, potential talent or whatever. I do not want Drake May at all. I will shit my pants if we get Drake May. And I don't know what I will do as a fair Bears fan. Give me Caleb Williams. If I have to pick, give me Caleb Williams. I don't want Drake.
I'll disagree with you on that one. Yeah, you don't want Caleb Williams over Drake May. Anyways, I will highly disagree with you over that one. Now, I am still going to stick with I'm still sticking Marvin Harrison no matter what.
Harrison.
I'm telling you, you cannot pass up on this kid. There's no way if they pass up on this kid, and this kid goes somewhere else and does exactly what I think he's going to be able to do, I'm telling you, he reminds me so much of Jerry Rice, it's not even funny.
Yeah.
And he's so good. He is just so good. I'm telling you, Alex, if they pass on him and he goes elsewhere, you may have to tear up whatever Chicago Bears memorabilia that you have. We'll put it in a bonfire together, and we will blow it up together if you want to. I will be more than happy to do that.
I'm going to tell you this up front, because if the Bears completely just bomb this entire thing, and we look back 5 years from now and we're just still a horrible organization, everyone's been fired, everyone's been cut, whatever, that could be my line, boys. And I'm not even going to jump full on the Jags. The Jags will probably stay with my number 2 team. I'm just going to go ahead and just mail it in. I'm jumping to a really good football team, and I'm not even going to be ashamed about it. I'm not. I don't care. Give me the Chiefs. Give me whoever else. Like I just want to feel winning for once. Like I just want to know what it feels like to win and compete. No, I won't ever fully do that. I won't. Yeah, it's all jokes. But man, it is frustrating. It is very frustrating. And the thing is, like, man, in my opinion, run it back with Fields and get a very experienced and proven offensive play caller. Don't get a QB coach. Get a former offensive coordinator. Okay, you know what I mean? Like get the Daryl Bevel, right, who is the passing game coordinator down in Miami. He was the OC in Seattle during some of Russ's best years. He worked with Trevor Lawrence. He's worked with Tua. Give me a guy like him. Give me Greg Roman, who was credited by John Harbaugh to have like personally built a package to really make Lamar Jackson shine before he was let go. Give me Shane Waldron, who's now available because Pete Carroll has now been, again, forcefully resigned, in my opinion. And Seattle told all the staff up there, hey, if you guys want to look for other jobs, feel free, because like a new coach that comes in is going to have pick. Get me Shane Waldron, OC from Seattle. Get me Kellen Moore, for God's sake. I don't care. I want a proven play caller.
Kellen Moore?
Give me Kellen Moore. I don't give a damn. Give me Eric Bieniemy. I don't give a damn. Give me a proven play caller. I don't want this QB coach BS anymore. I'm sick of it. I don't want a guy who's like, was an OC but didn't actually call plays. I don't want that shit. I want a play caller. Okay? Because, the entire defensive staff is being retained, which as they should. The defense was incredible. Matt Eberflus is still going to be calling defensive plays as well as hiring a new true defensive coordinator. All good, whatever. But give me the offensive staff, man. We got to nail it. And I don't even know if I trust Flus to make those hires. I think Poles needs to make, like, Flus had his chance and he horribly struck out. We still don't know what happened with Allen Williams. We have no clue. All right. And then Getsy was a massive failure. Horribly struck out. Don't even let him have final say. This needs to be Poles. Poles needs final say. And look, this is my mindset. I saw a lot of people chatting about this. Keep Fields. Draft Marvin Harrison. Draft either Brock Bowers or draft an offensive lineman. Sign Derrick Henry. Sign Saquon Barkley. Hey, you cannot tell me that's not a good-looking offense. Cannot tell me.
And I'm just going. Who would you sign? Which one would you prefer, Saquon or Derrick Henry?
Probably Saquon, just based on age. But in terms of overall performance,
Right.
I'd love Derrick Henry. But I mean, I'd probably say Saquon. I don't know. I mean, Derrick Henry, with his running style that he's got, he still manages to stay pretty damn healthy. So you know what? Maybe Derrick Henry.
And Chicago has the money to pay him. So
Yeah.
it's not like they can't afford to pay a decent running back.
Yeah, and we're gonna have more money soon.
I don't expect Derrick Henry to be one of those $20-25 million dollar running backs, but you could probably get him for a good $15 million.
Oh yeah, and plus we're likely going to cut Cody Whitehair and Eddie Jackson. That's those two cuts will save us about 22 mil. So that'll be about 22 mil we're getting back. We already have like 68, so add on 22 onto that. We got money.
$90 million.
We're ready to go.
$90 million.
We're ready to go.
$90 million. They're not going to do a damn thing with it. You and I both know they're not.
I mean, they did. All right, look, they did well last year with free agency. So I do have hopes.
They did.
And if we're going to be honest, completely brutally honest, last 2 years of Poles running the show, draft wise, he's done great both years. Let's be honest. Kyler Gordon, Jaquan Brisker the year before, last year, getting guys like Darnell Wright, Javon Dexter, Braxton Jones the year before as well. He's been nailing it on the draft. The only screw ups that I would give him is Volus Jones when he drafted him, Chase Claypool trade for basically a first round draft pick, and Nate Davis is still getting the job done, but Nate Davis was kind of a questionable sign too. Other than that, I mean, Poles has been nailing it on building this team. So I see the appeal of where this team's going. I get it. I understand. But at the same time, retaining them still bothers me because it's like out of the 7 wins that we had this year, only one of them was against a good team. Everyone else is against shit teams. You know what I mean? So it's like how much progress?
But it's a National Football League. 7 wins. They had what? 5 wins last year?
3.
3 wins last year, 7 wins this year. I mean,
it's improvement.
That's still 4 more wins.
Yeah,
and that's the thing. It's still improvement. But,
I just really hope that we truly consider. I mean, from the sound of it, we are keeping Fields because I mean, like the whole team wants Fields there. I mean, DJ Moore had his best career year under Fields. You know what I mean?
I will say this much, Alex. I think the players signed off on Matt Eberflus.
Yeah, I think so too.
Stay.
I think so too.
Because
he's a player's coach.
He's a player's coach, and if it was, they're seeing improvements. If it was that bad, I don't think they would have retained him. But now, if he would have had another 3-4 win season, then yes, I think they would have fired him regardless. But I'll say it again. The Bears are in the driver's seat to have one other crazy offseason like they did last year.
Yep.
The question is, will they execute what you and I both know? They have the money. They don't have to spend it all, but they can go out there and get some damn good players for what they've got, and we'll see what happens.
Yep.
I'm telling you, if they pass on Marvin Harrison Jr. and Marvin Harrison goes elsewhere and he lights everybody up like a Christmas tree like I think he's going to,
I'm going to be so sad.
I will never, ever let this down.
Trust me, I'm gonna feel it too, unless another receiver we draft like an Odunze or a Malik Neighbors, if they end up being an absolute stud too, that's cool. But I still don't think they're Marvin Harrison Jr. And I thought about it too.
No.
If the team ends up getting, let's say Caleb Williams #1 overall, I had a thought of at that point, Washington's getting Drake at the #2 pick. So I thought about that third pick of New England, right? Are you going to draft a guy like Jaden Daniels 3 overall? I say no. So I really thought about it. I'm like, man, what if Ryan Poles goes hyper aggressive, trades up from 9 to 3, sacrifices like maybe a couple draft picks next year, maybe trade a player and gets Marvin Harrison Jr. at 3. And you get a guy like Caleb at 1, Harrison at 3, similar to what Houston did to get Will Anderson and CJ Stroud. Same concept. Like, what if they did that? Like, we trade our first round. I would be fine. Look, I'm not sold on Caleb. I'm not. Again, me personally, we'll dive into this during draft time. I'm a Caleb guy over Drake personally. We'll dive into that. Our disagreements in draft time, right? When we're doing mock drafts and stuff, we'll dive into it later. But like, if we're gonna get Caleb and we manage to get Marvin at 3, I'm gonna walk away draft night fairly happy because I got Marvin Harrison. I got what I wanted. You know what I mean?
You better walk around, like you've got, like you're a billionaire.
Yeah,
You're about
exactly.
To, your crap don't stink.
Yeah.
You better walk away like that.
I'm gonna walk away feeling pretty good if that happened. All right. Would I rather us just maybe trade down to 3 or trade down a pick, get extra value, and let them get Caleb and us draft like Marvin Harrison at 2 or 3, and then draft it like Joe Alt or Alua or Brock Bowers at 9? I'd like that a lot more, but I'm fine with the other one too. I don't know. Well, draft season's going to be wild for the Bears, but let's not take up the whole show on the Bears here. Let's talk also about the playoffs. Playoffs are set, man. We got a hell of a weekend ahead. We have the most expensive playoff game like for a wild card in NFL history with the Lions and the Rams, with $500 for the cheapest ticket. I mean, it makes sense. I mean, you got these two teams, of course, in that trade together, trading, swapping quarterbacks. The Rams won a Super Bowl. The Lions have been rebuilt. And now you got, Jared Goff. Can he be the quarterback that brings home a playoff win for the Lions? And then you have the former Lion GOAT, Matt Stafford. Can he get a win in the Lions' house in a playoff game? I mean, there's a lot of conversation about this. You got your Dallas Cowboys going against the Packers. We're going to chat about if you're nervous on that one. The Bucs winning the division, getting the 4 seed. Houston coming in and winning the division thanks to the Jags losing. Thanks, Jacksonville. So much to chat about. Let's talk about the Lions and Rams first. Is this the most, I know you're a Cowboys fan, but as a football fan, is this the game you're looking forward to the most?
Yes, by far. That's not even close. Look, I'll answer the first question that you kind of had first. Am I worried about the Cowboys Packers? Not necessarily, because of the fact is that I know what Dallas brings to the table. And I think they'll cover the spread. I think they'll win by at least 10 over the Packers. But given the history, the only thing is that you give the history of how the Packers do have success against the Cowboys.
Yep, that's why my boss is nervous.
Quarterback. They have Jordan now. And listen, this is no knock to Jordan Love. I was so wrong about Jordan Love this year. I was 100% wrong about Jordan Love this year. We saw him at the beginning of the season. At the beginning of the season, at first game of the year, shined. Then we saw a decline. And then all of a sudden, we started seeing consistency. And that's what you got to have in order to be a good team. I think this Packers team is going to put up a fight, but I just think Dallas is that much more meaner than what they are. I think Dallas has more experience year round and all the way around and experience. And I'm not saying this because I'm a Cowboys fan. I'm saying this because it is what it is. The Cowboys are just experienced all the way around. I don't think the Packers' year is this year. Give it at least a year, if not 2 more years, because the lines are not going to go away. With that being said, yes, this is but the Rams and Lions to me is the most intriguing game of them all. And some could argue the Browns and Texans. But the thing about it is the only reason I would say that the Browns and Texans would come close is because you have an almost similar situation as what the Rams are. The only difference is that you have two quarterbacks going against each other, but with the Lions and Rams, respectively, Jared Goff and Matt Stafford, who played for each other's respective franchises. You don't have that with you only have one with the Browns, who's not playing right now because of an injury. But at the same time, it's like this is the most intriguing game could be in the history of the playoffs. I don't know, but I know this year in this particular round, these two teams right here, the most intriguing one. You've got the Detroit Lions who won their division for the first time and God knows when.
93.
And then you have a 93, and then you have a Rams team who wasn't even close to making the playoffs last year. They had a slew of injuries, winning the Super Bowl the year before, coming back this year. Matt Stafford has had an up and down season, but for the most part, he's had a very good season. And being able to get them in the playoffs, which I said they would get them in the playoffs this year, and I'm glad they did. He got them back in the playoffs. Now, what's it going to be? Are you going to take this young Lions team who has a little bit of veteran leadership, but you also have the Rams who have just much young studs than what the Lions have. This Rams team is totally different from the one they had when they won the Super Bowl. That's what makes it intriguing. Who is going to be able to show what they've got when it comes to the kneel and grind? Jared Goff cannot. None of these quarterbacks can turn the ball over, but I say Jared Goff just because I think he's thrown like 12 interceptions this year so far. And so overall, it's so hard to pick this game. I think the Lions are going to do it because the Lions have more of an established running game than what the Rams do. But man, this is going to be one heck of a ball game. One heck of a ball game coming up.
I can't wait for it. I mean, this is going to be one of the best playoff games that I've seen some time. I feel like this is going to reach the same level as that Bills-Chiefs game a few years ago, which was, oh my God, that game was incredible. That was one of the best playoff games I've ever seen in my life. You know, I feel like this is going to hit the same level, man. I mean, just from an emotional standpoint, I feel like it's going to be a lot of back and forth. I think both teams are going to show up and show the best versions of themselves, and it's just going to make for an absolutely electric game. I do have the Lions winning. I got the Lions winning, and I've already done my playoff predictions. I'm going to throw it up on TikTok once we're done with the show. You should go follow me on TikTok at Sparky3Official. I've been posting every single day with the 366 days of gaming challenge. Fun fact here for you, Rick. I think you'll enjoy this. I also threw up my week 18 predictions on there just for shits and gigs. Like, yeah, let's throw up here for some extra engagement, whatever. No big deal, right? Try to bring in some more audience. And I had the Browns losing, which they did. And before the game, before the game started and stuff, a guy commented, it's just like, this guy really has the Browns losing, never predict again. And I replied, and I'm just like, the Browns have nothing to play for. You know, they're not getting one. They're not going up or down from 5. They're stuck at 5 no matter what happens this weekend. They're resting. The Bengals simply have the pride of winning to play for. And the guy, kudos to him. He responded, he's like, oh, shit, yeah, you're right. I didn't think about that. Keep on predicting. And I'm just like, cheers, man. Good luck in the playoffs. So shout out to that guy.
I need to look at the schedule again to make sure I'm right. I'm wanting to say the Browns was the only division win that Cincinnati had this year. I need to look that up. They may have beaten Pittsburgh once. I don't remember.
No. Bengals lost every AFC North game except for that one. You are correct.
Yeah, I was about to say, yeah, that they were pretty bad. They had signs of struggle even when Joe Burrow was healthy. But this was even they were not very good this year at all.
Yeah. No, I mean these playoffs, man, have really shaped up to be a pretty good one. I mean, I think we got a couple duds this weekend. I think Buffalo and Pittsburgh is a dud, especially no TJ Watt. That hurts Pittsburgh. Bad.
That hurts.
Like,
That hurts.
like if you got
If-
TJ in there, I feel like you still got a chance, but that hurts. And then Philadelphia and Buccaneers, man, that's a wild card to me because the Eagles are going into the playoffs so ice cold. It's not funny.
Yeah.
But then again, so are the Bucks. The Bucks won 9-0 against the Panthers. I mean, like both these teams are ice cold coming to the playoffs. Meanwhile, you look at every other team in the playoffs. And you have, the Chiefs and the Dolphins are interesting because they're both coming in lukewarm. You know what I mean? They're not hot. They're not cold. They're just kind of there. But it's going to be like 0 degrees in KC. So it's like, can Miami players, can they hold up to that? You know what I mean? It's going to be a good weekend of football, man. I'm very excited for it. I mean, I've got my playoff predictions, kind of lined out about going from beginning to end. Do you want to go through this with me?
Yes, let's do it.
All right, let's start with the AFC side. So we have the 7 seed Pittsburgh and 2 seed Buffalo. I got Buffalo moving on.
Buffalo moves on, yes.
All right, next up we have the 3 seed KC hosting the 6 seed Miami Dolphins.
I want to say Miami.
So Miami was
but
my
here's
pick
my-
until I
my-
saw the weather. I've switched mine to KC since.
I think Miami is the better team. Tyreek Hill going back to KC.
Yep. First time he's been back in
Kansas
KC.
Kansas City, though, has not shown me anything offensively.
Yep.
This is gonna. I'm gonna pick Miami. I'm sticking with Miami.
See, I'm gonna roll with the Chiefs, man. I think the cold weather is gonna get to Miami, so I'm sticking with the Chiefs on this one. So then for me, that would have KC and Buffalo facing off 2 and 3 seed. In your case, since you got Miami winning and Buffalo winning, that means Miami is going to play Baltimore for you. So next up is Houston and Cleveland. I've actually got Cleveland winning.
Yes, I also have Cleveland winning.
So yeah, for you in your case, you would have Buffalo and Cleveland. We got Cleveland going to visit Buffalo.
Oh gosh, this is tough.
So okay,
This is
so
tough.
here I'll go ahead. Here's my original thought because I originally had
Okay.
Miami winning, like you, and so my playoffs played out just like yours. I actually had Cleveland making it to the AFC Championship. I had them beating Buffalo and making it to the AFC Championship in my original predictions. That's what I thought.
See, and that's where I want to go with because Cleveland's defense is so good.
Yeah.
They're just so good, and I feel like they would give Buffalo all kinds of matchup problems. So yeah, I'll go with Cleveland. I will go with Cleveland. I'll have Cleveland, and I will pick Baltimore to beat Miami.
So for me, I've got Buffalo beating KC in my playoff round. I think Buffalo will
that's
get
fair.
over the hump. They beat them this year. You can argue it was bad ref call, whatever people want to argue. Buffalo still won, but I think they will convincingly actually get over the hump, which is KC. Let's be real, that's their hump.
Okay.
And then for my Baltimore Cleveland matchup, I do have Baltimore moving on. This is where the Cleveland dream dies. I look because
Listen, I'm rooting for Cleveland. I'm going
Look,
to root for
I would
Cleveland,
love to
but
see it.
you're right.
I love to see it. So I'll go ahead and spoil something on this. With me having Cleveland, lose to Baltimore, I got Baltimore going to the Super Bowl. Because look, here's the thing, man. Cleveland is a team that I think can make a run to the AFC Championship as long as they don't play Baltimore. Baltimore is the one hump that I do not think they can get over. So for me, my AFC Championship is Buffalo.
They did beat them earlier in the year.
They did. You're right. But as of lately, with how Baltimore has been playing, I cannot see a team getting over Baltimore. I just can't. Baltimore is playing too damn good when all their players are out in the field, especially when I look at it like Mark Andrews is probably going to come back in the playoffs, because that was the original talk when he got injured, is that he can come back for the playoffs. You get Mark Andrews back into the fold too. I cannot see a team getting past Baltimore. So for me, AFC Championship, Buffalo at Baltimore. Baltimore wins. Baltimore goes to the Super Bowl.
All right.
So yours
So yeah,
is
me and you both have Baltimore.
okay. NFC side of things. Let's start with the 7 seed Packers visiting the Cowboys. I got the Cowboys moving on.
Yeah, Cowboys move on in that one.
6 seed Rams, 3 seed Lions. I've got the Lions moving on in a very, very tight potential overtime battle.
Yeah, it's going to be good. It's going to be good. I'll also go with the Lions.
All right. 4 and 5 seed Tampa Bay, Philly. How you leaning on this? Because I've gone back and forth on this thing so many times.
Philly just got their ass kicked by the New York Giants.
I know.
And don't get me wrong. I know Tampa. I know Tampa didn't play a very good team at all. They played Carolina. It only won 9-0. The struggle's real. Give me Philly.
So Philly was my original pick. I've since switched it to Tampa Bay. I just have a
I love
sneaking
it.
feeling that Tampa Bay will sneak away with a win. I don't know what it is. I just have that sneaking feeling it's going to happen. Am I a little persuaded by the memes I've seen on Twitter of the picture of Baker Mayfield on the practice field with a can of dip in his pocket? Maybe. Maybe that persuaded me a little bit where people made jokes, give me Tampa by 30. Maybe that persuaded me. But give me Tampa Bay beating the Philadelphia Eagles. So both of us have the basically mostly the same matchup. We've both got the Lions visiting the Cowboys, and we have Philly/Tampa visiting San Fran. Who do you have in these games?
San Fran over Philly.
San Fran over Tampa for me.
I'm going to go with the Cowboys over the Lions just because I know how well they've played at home. I know the Lions are going to look for that payback that they had over a few weeks back. There's something different about this Cowboys team, though, Alex. There's something totally different about this year's team. The one thing the Lions did, that they did not let Tony Pollard scramble a whole lot. They did not really let him get out. It's a struggle. It's going to be tough. It's going to be another struggle. It's going to be another slugfest. But there's something that's different about this Cowboys team. I'm going to stick with the Cowboys.
I've got the Lions winning. I've got the Lions going the distance and
fair.
going to the NFC Championship. So for me, you've got one of your arch nemesis with San Fran. You have Dallas and San Fran on your side. I've got Detroit and San Fran on my side. Who do you have in yours?
Oh gosh.
This is one of your arch nemesis, man.
Yeah, but San Fran's been so good for so long.
Yep.
The last couple of years. Damn.
That's a nightmare matchup for you as a Cowboys fan.
It is. It is for the because like I said, the last couple of years we had chances to beat them and we didn't do it. Now we're going to have to go to San Fran to do it.
Yep.
We're not a very good road team, and we don't have an established running game. San Fran over the Cowboys.
So your Super Bowl is Baltimore, San Fran.
Yeah, and I know that's the 2 number 1 seeds, but Alex, right now, if we're going to have 2 healthy teams like Baltimore and San Francisco, who's going to beat them in their respective conferences?
I'm with you. I've got Detroit losing to San Fran in a heartbreaker for the Lions. San Fran goes to the Super Bowl. Who do you have winning this matchup?
I am rooting for a Lions and Browns Super Bowl.
I want it.
I don't care.
I want it. I want playoff Joe Flacco.
Ratings.
I want 2012 playoff Joe Flacco to lead them to the Super Bowl.
So I will say, but here's the thing, though, Alex. I did say the numbers could plummet. I don't think so. If you have a Lions-Browns, you're probably going to have a record-setting number for Super Bowl because we may never see this again in our entire lives.
Yep.
The Browns going to the Super Bowl. Okay, let's just. So who do you have? Who do you have winning the Super Bowl?
I haven't said my pick yet. I have not said my pick yet. This is tough.
I'm going with San Fran.
My gut, since I made these predictions, is Baltimore. I think there's just something magical right now with the Harbaugh brothers.
There is.
And I'm jumping on that bandwagon. We're going to see 2 brothers holding up championship trophies in the same year, in the same 2-month period. January, Jim is going to do it. February, John's going to do it. It's just something magical about that family right now. I don't know what it is, man. It's just that gut feeling that the Ravens are about to get their 3rd Super Bowl win and become a dynasty. I'm feeling it. That is what makes a dynasty, right? It's 3.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think so.
I think it's 3. So yeah, they're about to be a dynasty. Give me Baltimore winning the Super Bowl. It's going to be a good playoff run, though. It's going to be a damn good playoff run.
We could be completely wrong too.
We
Because
really
there's
could.
so many scenarios that could happen in the playoffs. It's not even funny.
Can you imagine if the Texans made to the Super Bowl?
Jesus Christ! Don't even. Alex, but here's the thing, Alex, and this is the thing. Christian McCaffrey. I just think it's time for him to get his.
Yeah.
It just because I mean he's to me outside the quarterback realm he's been the best player in the National Football League for so long. He just hasn't been able to stay healthy. And he missed how many games? Did he miss a game this year? He missed what? 2 games this year?
Maybe 2. I mean, if any. I didn't know if he missed anything.
If I'm about to say if any, I bet say because I was about to say I feel like it's time for him to get his. And don't get me wrong, I love Lamar Jackson. Lamar Jackson's played on an MVP level. We could talk about that later on. Whenever, but I mean, he's played on an MVP level. I love Lamar Jackson. Their defense has really stepped up. But for me, I think San Fran. I think it's just time for San Fran to get one.
Yeah, time for him to get back. Hey,
and what about hey? And here's something else. Who did Baltimore play the last time they won their last time they won the Super Bowl?
It'd be a rematch. Hopefully, the lights don't go off this time.
Exactly.
Imagine if the lights went off again. Jesus Christ.
I am putting all my money on whatever it is I can put my money on for the Super Bowl. There are so many stupid things you can bet on the Super Bowl. It's not even funny.
Oh, I know. The list is unbelievable. Unbelievable. One thing that you mentioned is playing at an MVP level. Who do you have as like some who is like your top MVP of this league so far? This with the regular season being a close, is it Lamar? Is it Christian? Is it Brock? Is it Dak? Is it Jared Goff? Who is your MVP?
So I did see some statistical numbers earlier today. There's a lot of statistical numbers that Dak has over Lamar, and you can't argue. Here's the one thing with Dak that's just significant is the fact is that last year he led the league in turnovers. This year he's done pretty well. He's thrown 9 interceptions, which isn't terrible for an NFL quarterback or whatever it is. I think Brock Purdy needs to pay more dues. That's just my opinion. I think he needs to pay more dues before we consider him an MVP type quarterback, especially the situation. I would lean a little bit more toward Lamar over Dak, regardless of the numbers. And the reason I would say that is because I feel like the level of competition Dak's had this year has not necessarily met up to a certain MVP type scenario. I think had he beaten Buffalo and Miami, he would have a huge argument to be the MVP this year, and he still does. I'm not saying that he doesn't, but I think with the quality competition that each team has played, you gotta tip your hat off to Lamar Jackson. You really have to tip your hat off to him, in my opinion.
Yeah, Lamar is a guy that I want to say is probably the front runner, and it's deserving. I mean, there's a lot of deserving guys. I don't know, man. I kind of want to mix it up, man. Let's give it to Christian McCaffrey for real. I mean, he managed to stay healthy pretty much all year.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that.
I mean, I say let's throw it to C-Mac, man. Let's throw it to C-Mac. I mean, I'm here for that. I think Jared Goff should be in the conversation. I know he won't be, but he should be.
Too many turnovers.
Yeah, I know. I think Dak should be in the conversation. I would say Dak, Christian McCaffrey, and Lamar Jackson, I think are going to be like the top 3 that you should really throw out there in the con. But, C-Mac will probably win Offensive Player of the Year, and, MVP will be a quarterback. Same old BS. But, I don't know.
Christian McCaffrey, 1,459 rushing yards. Listen to this, dude. He has 8 less carries, 272 carries. He did miss 1 game. He only played 16 games, which is fine.
Yep.
He has one less game, 8 less carry, 300 more yards than the second leading rusher in the NFL, which was Derrick Henry this year. Absolutely terrific.
And you know what?
Tip you out.
I just realized that 1 game he didn't play was probably just Week 17. I don't think anyone played Week 17 for the Niners. So he played the 16 games that mattered.
Yep, you are probably right about that. He did lose a couple fumbles, but who cares? But yeah, you could definitely tip your hat off. The only statistic that I could see that some of this the major statistics that we look at
Yep.
was touchdowns. Raheem Mostert from Miami had the most touchdowns with 18.
Mhm.
If you get, let's see here, he averaged, where's it at? 5.4 yards per carry. So I mean, you can't definitely can't argue that. Over 91 yards per game. So I mean, yeah, it's definitely definitely had a very good season.
Yeah. No, I definitely agree, man. And that's why I think he's in that MVP conversation. He should be. Him and Lamar and Dak, I feel like are going to be the three guys. Sorry. CJ Stroud's going to probably win Rookie of the Year, and he deserves it. He 100% deserves it.
He deserves it.
Yeah. I'm so happy about that one, man, because like everyone here on this show was so adamant CJ was the number one guy, not Bryce, and I'm so happy it's played out. It's like, yes, we nailed it. We nailed it. Let's go. So I love how that's played out for us and the Texans and CJ Stroud and everything. I don't know.
This is why one day a terrible football show is going to overtake Mel Kiper and all them other draft expert idiots.
Throw our terrible opinions out in the universe. Can't wait.
Exactly.
Got to keep on going. Got to keep on going. So there's something else that I just thought of that I thought we could do. Probably not this week though. Let's do it next week so we can properly prepare for it. How about next week? We're talking about MVPs and stuff. How about next week we name our MVPs of all 32 teams? I just thought of that because teams give out the MVPs within themselves, whatever. Because if you remember, that caused a big controversy in Pittsburgh a few years ago when Juju got it over Antonio Brown. Antonio Brown got pissed. So that is a thing teams do. So how about next week we look at all 32 teams, we speed run it, and we give our personal thoughts on who was the MVP of that team for the year. We're on limited time today, so I don't want to squeeze it in right now because I know we're about to hit an hour. We're probably going to look to finish up so we can get you out of here, and I've actually got something else I got to do as well. Let's see. Anything else that we got on the agenda to talk about? We did a lot of speed running. Playoffs look intense. Coach firings. That's wild. I guess the only other thing is just a quick speed run here on the coaches still left on who should have been fired, in our opinion. There's some obvious ones where it's like, nah, I mean, just bad season or whatever. So like, this is the NFL standings of the playoff teams that got eliminated in order. So Zach Taylor or Cincinnati, no.
No, too many injuries.
Now what about Dennis Allen in New Orleans? What's your thoughts on that one? Yes or no?
Give him one more year. Give him one more year.
Doug Peterson, no.
No.
Shane Steichen, obviously not. Rookie head coach, exceeded expectations. That's a given. Now, Vegas already got fired, of course, but Antonio Pierce, he's being currently interviewed. He's going to be interviewed for Tennessee for the head coaching job. New York wants to interview him for the D.C. position. He's going to be interviewed with Vegas. I mean, if Vegas does not hire him, and they should have hired Rick Bisaccia, let's be real, at this point, Vegas, this is their own failures. All right, can we agree on that? They need to hire AP.
Yeah, you could definitely have an argument on that. Definitely have an argument on definitely have an argument on AP. I mean, they did play very well. I'm wondering though if Vegas is going to target John Gruden to come back.
I thought that too.
Because that's my whole entire thing is all this is passed over. Nothing really much come out of it. Just like when I thought it first came out, like I think we were on the show when he got fired, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep.
He took the fall for something, and nothing else really come out of it.
Yep.
Why not bring him back?
Yep.
So yeah, I mean, I could be wrong, but I think if I'm not mistaken, I think I read somewhere that they may be looking to bring back John Gruden. We'll see.
I know they had interest in Jim Harbaugh, but I don't think he's leaving Michigan. I really don't.
I think he's going back to the NFL. I don't know if it's going to be.
If he's going
I
back to the
don't- I don't know.
NFL, like if the Bears job's off the table, which according to Ryan Poles, he never even talked to Jim, I think he's going to the Chargers. That's my personal take. He's going to the Chargers.
Could be. Could be. I think he's done at Michigan. I could be wrong, but I'm going to stick with my guns. I think, Alex, I'm going to tell you something. When you go to work on a daily basis, you have the people. There are certain people that have to have your back. When you're in a league like you are in now, and the Big Ten does not have your back, give them the middle finger. You won the national championship and walk away.
Yeah. Next up would be Denver with Sean Payton. No, but I could definitely see a seat
No.
getting a little warm.
No, it's not. He's fine.
Kevin O'Connell, no. Injury hurt that team of Kirk Cousins. Justin Jefferson was out for like 7 games as well. Injury-ridden team there. Matt Eberflus.
They still had a chance to make the playoffs.
Yeah, I know. Matt Eberflus, in my opinion, he should have been fired. That's my personal opinion.
Yeah. They should have went after Harbaugh. I don't know why they didn't. They should have went
Or
after
at least Vrabel. You know what I mean? Go after Harbaugh. Go after Vrabel. I don't give a damn. Just anything's an upgrade. Because I mean, the question is, do you really see Flus winning this team a Super Bowl? I say no. So I don't know.
They might make the playoffs, but do you think Vrabel's a good fit for Chicago?
Yeah. I think he's a perfect fit for Chicago. The kind of vibe that man brings, absolutely. I think he's a great fit for Chicago. I love the vibe. I think he's a guy that would fit very well up in Chicago. So Atlanta, Arthur Smith did in fact get fired. No surprise on that one. 3, 7, and 10 years. So at least he's consistent. And 3 years of like the 7th overall pick. At least he's consistent. Jets with Robert Saleh. I mean, I'd say no. This year was kind of a wash.
Yeah, it was bad as soon as Aaron Rodgers got injured, I knew he was coming back next year.
What about Brian Daboll? Coach of the year last year, collapsed this year. Apparently him and Wink Martindale hate each other. Wink Martindale was cussing him out as he left the building.
And they also let him go. I think it's I know he was coach of the year last year. It's a dumpster fire. Let him go. They got to start over. Let him go.
I say he needs at least 1 more year, and not even that, maybe even 2. Let him pick a quarterback for himself. I know they signed Daniel Jones, but I don't think Daniel's the guy. I'm sorry. I know Danny Dimes. That was just. I understood and supported the signing because he had his best year under Daboll, but like I never thought he was going to be the guy. He was never going to be a guy that won a championship. Let him get a quarterback that he wants. You know what I mean? So yeah, Mike Vrabel got fired. Brandon Staley got fired. Ron Rivera just got fired. No surprise on that one. That was kind of expected too. Jonathan Gannon, absolutely not.
I don't think Ron Rivera should have gotten fired.
Really?
Yeah, I know.
I feel like it was Tom.
I mean, you could argue that, but at the same time, it's the Washington Commanders. What's the level of expectations you have in Washington?
I mean, new ownership, man. So yeah, they probably want to have a new face in there.
Wow, possibly so, because you got Magic Johnson, who's a minority owner. They hired Bob Myers to assist and all this other stuff. Hey, and that's the one thing, he's one heck of an executive. So we'll see if he's able to help them out at all.
So next up was Jonathan Gannon. Absolutely not. Obviously, first-year head coach. Cardinals played well above expectations, even though they only won 4 games. They were competitive a lot this year. Kyler Murray is the guy. They stood behind him, and Kyler Murray played pretty well down the stretch. Which he had to kind of get. I feel like his first few games back, he kind of get loosened up. You're gone for a while. So Cardinals' future is going to be pretty interesting to watch. And then last one would be Bill Belichick. So Bill Belichick, should he be leaving the Patriots or not? That's the question. I saw where he told all the coaches to take 2 weeks off. So I'm curious to see where this is going to go.
I think his time is done.
I think it's done.
Why would you bring him back though?
Yeah.
I understand that him and Robert Kraft are buddies, but at the same time, it's like there comes a time. Every good thing, there's the old saying that all good things must come to an end, and this is one of them. It's not that Bill Belichick is a horrible coach. It's the fact is he's not been able to adapt. He's not been able to rebuild without Tom Brady. He's not been able to do anything that he has been, supposedly was going to set out and do. And I don't think he's made the playoffs once since Tom Brady's departure.
Nope.
I think his time is done. He needs to A, follow in Pete Carroll and Nick Saban's footsteps and retire, or go elsewhere.
I'm saying go elsewhere. I just don't know where. I don't know if it would be LA or not, or I don't know, but I say go elsewhere. It's going to be interesting where he goes, though. That's going to be a damn interesting thing to watch, is see where he goes out of the openings that's available. Because he's not going to want to go to a shit show like Carolina. Yeah, he ain't doing that. I have seen some conversation that Washington wants to swing big for Bill Belichick. I've seen that conversation. So that would be a fun one to watch, let me tell you. It'd probably be the Patriots' preference because he'd be out of the AFC.
The problem is Bill Belichick does not draft very well.
Yeah, that's been he can, but lately not so much. Lately, not so much.
Well, and it all depends on how much control you're going to be willing to give him too.
Yeah, that's also true. And even in his end of year presser, he even openly said he'd be willing to kind of let go of some of those duties. He's like, I have no problem with that. Which I think that's what needs to happen, is give him a GM that he trusts and likes and just let him coach. You know what I mean? I think that's probably the best play. Anyway, so we've gotten through pretty much all the main talking. We've kind of sped run through a lot of stuff here on these Wednesday shows where we start at like 5. We may only be going like an hour, a little north of it, just because we're both busy guys, got stuff to do, of course. We already basically went through our predictions earlier when we gave the full playoff layout prediction. I like predicting the playoffs from start to finish, so we kind of already hit our predictions. So Ricky, you want to get out of here?
Let's get out of here, man.
All right. Any last thoughts that you want to say to anyone before I hit the music?
My Cowboys better beat the Packers. I'm not coming on next week's show if they lose.
I guess I'll be doing a solo show. No, it's going to be an electric weekend.
I will be here, but my camera will be turned off. Actually, no, it's probably going to be turned on because I will go on a big rant.
I can't wait, man, if that happens, but I hope to God it doesn't, because as a Bears fan, I can't tell you how much it breaks my heart to see that the Packers have done this 3 times in a row in terms of their quarterback. I can't tell you how much this pains me, and we've never even had a 4,000-yard passer. I am in so much pain.
And Chicago is more of in my opinion, historically, Chicago is a little bit more of a dynasty team than what the Packers are.
Yeah, we have more NFL championships if you date back before the Super Bowl, but no one likes to count those, which I get. I understand. Super Bowl is the thing. I get it. I'm not. That's why I don't go around touting, oh, we got so many NFL championships. No one cares in the modern day about that. I'm sorry, they don't. But anyway, so that's going to do it for this week's episode. Make sure to come back next week. It's going to be a great time reacting to the wild card weekend and maybe some more news going around in the NFL. It's been a wild few days. Ricky, I'll see you next week, my friend. Until next time, guys, have a good one. Bye.